Report a shot fired at officers trying to stop the vehicle.
We have one officer shot.
We got shots fired. Sounded like an automatic firearm.
Copy, code red, shots fired.
We have an active shooter. We have an active shooter inside the warehouse.
Now it's Shots Fired with your hosts TJ Kirgin, Dinah Death Milberg, and the lovely Krystal Powers.
And welcome back to another wonderful week of weaponry on the Shots Fired show. This is TJ Kirgin, a.k.a. Sig Glockencolt. I'm your local warlord, and I'm all by myself today. And it's been a slow news week in the firearms industry, so we're going to have to work really, really hard to keep this show interesting for the next hour. But I think we're going to be able to pull it off, Fish. I have all the confidence in the world. I'll tell you what.
Sounds like you're calling on me.
I'm not calling on you yet, but if you see me start to falter, you know, if I get that
blank, I can't always tell when you're faltering.
Usually it's when I get a blank stare on my face and the microphone and my mouth's just open, but nothing's coming out of it, you know.
Okay, I'll be standing by.
Okay, just kind of watch for that. Anyway, I think I got plenty to talk about, though, because the criminals, the I can't say it, in St. Louis, they keep it interesting for us around here. We now have had the seventh gun store attempted burglary in the St. Louis metro area. And I want to talk about that at length. It's fairly comical. It's most likely the same crew, right? The same crew that hit Metro Shooting Supply a little over a month ago. A couple days, weeks later, they then hit the Academy Sports in O'Fallon, Illinois, with the same modus operandi. That's the MO, as they teach you in the academy. The method of ramming a car into the front of the building in order to gain access, and then grabbing guns and fleeing. But each of these times, these bumbling idiots provide us with some security footage of absolute stupidity. They are armed and they are stupid, so that makes them incredibly dangerous, and they are still out there. If you see young black males driving a Hyundai Elantra or a Kia Optima at or around 3 or 4 in the morning near a gun store, I would probably call the police, because that would be a great way to profile these guys. And I have no problem profiling these guys as young black males because the video shows that they're black. So I can easily say that. I'm not racist for saying that these are young black males and that this gang of young black males is using the same MO to break into these gun shops, and that some of the video is funny because they're idiots, right? So when they broke into the Academy Sports in O'Fallon, they didn't get anything. Because they tried to bust the gun counter to get to the Glocks, to the Choppas. They tried to bust that counter with hammers, and it was bulletproof glass. Much to their chagrin, they weren't able to gain access. So what do? They ditch the Kia Optima that they stole, and they go steal another one, or a Hyundai Elantra. There's a reason they're stealing these Kias and these Hyundais. We're going to talk about that too. But anyway, they go steal another one. They drive across the bridge. They go to St. Peters, Missouri. About 2 hours later, they do the same thing there. They drive the car through the front of the Academy Sports, run to the back, slipping and sliding on the broken glass. And then, they didn't bring their hammers that time. They actually brought their guns, and they shoot holes. Divots all over the glass cases, but it's bulletproof. So the bullets don't actually break the glass. It just does, it does what bulletproof glass does, kind of powders in a spot, just puts a little dent in it. And once again, they left empty-handed. A few weeks later, they were successful at ramming a Kia Optima or a Hyundai Elantra. I can't keep track which one was in which robbery, but one of those cars is used in every one of these burglaries. And they rammed Osage County Guns in Wright City. And I was told that they got guns there. Osage had these big shutter security doors and whatnot on their outside doors and windows, but they didn't stop a car. So, from the looks of the pictures of the security camera footage, Osage County did not put their guns away at night like most people do. And so they actually scored guns from there. Now, I did hear some pretty funny local gossip today in regards to the Osage County robbery. Now, I don't have any proof of this. This is completely hearsay. It was actually Dinah Death Milberg that told me about it. He's going to try to research it. And if you know anything, you can call us at 636-224-6300, 636-224-6300. At Osage County, I'm told that they grabbed what they could of these semi-automatic, scary-looking black rifles, right? The kind of rifles that the Biden administration wants to get rid of, wants to ban, doesn't want you to have, wants you to register. And again, much to their chagrin, once they got home, they realized that the guns they stole from Osage were just they were air guns. They were BB guns that looked like M&P, Smith & Wesson M&Ps. So these idiots thought they got guns and ended up getting air guns because they took evidently, according to this rumor, Osage had secured all of their semi-automatic rifles. The only guns that were on the wall were shotguns and bolt actions. And so these guys go for the scary-looking guns, the black rifles, and they grab them, and they find out later they're BB guns. So that's kind of funny. But anyway, they hit another gun shop just last night, I guess. This would have been 3 days ago, October 7th. This time, Kevin's Guns on Duchesne Street in St. Charles. And this time, guess what? They show up with 2 Kia Optimas. And there's always one car is the chase car, the getaway car, and the other car is the ramming car, which they're going to leave behind, right? These idiots, when they cased this gun shop, I guess they didn't notice the concrete-filled steel ballards that were every 3 or 4 feet across the front of this gun store into the pavement. And so when they come in and they go to ram the building, they hit the ballards. And honestly, it's funny. We'll watch the video if you go on KSTK's website. You can watch the video. They don't even ram them that hard. They kind of just go over the curb and smack the ballards, and then you can see they back up into the parking lot, and then they give a good run at it this time, and it just basically totals the Kia. These ballards don't move, and so once again they left without any guns. So they've hit 7 gun shops in St. Louis alone. We know that there are copycat burglaries like this all over the country. This is out on the gangland wire. This is the new way of getting guns, and they haven't been very successful. They got 50 guns according to the ATF in the one robbery with Osage. That's all they've been able to get so far was 50 guns, which is still 50 too many. But let's talk about the first one, Metro shooting supply in Bridgeton. So this is, again, I can't speak to fact on a lot of these things, but it's local knowledge. It's evidently said that Metro shooting supply tried to, and they were the first ones hit, and they tried to install steel bars on their doors and ballards, steel concrete-filled ballards in their parking lot, just like Kevin's Guns in St. Charles had. They tried to do that, but the city of Bridgeton didn't let them. They denied the permit to do that because that would have looked bad or something, on the Rock Road. They wouldn't have been, it would have violated their code. And so now, evidently, Metro is doing it anyway, even though the city told them that they couldn't. I don't know why. Honestly, I don't know why they're not suing the city. If the city tells you can't do something to secure your goods, and then that exact thing leads you to have tremendous property damage and loss of goods, which is loss of money. You lose revenue from being closed. You lose money from having to hire contractors. You lose money from having to buy new goods and new doors and all that. Why they're not suing the city, I don't know. I guess you don't want to poop where you live. I can see that. But if the city was the cause of my loss, I'm definitely going to hold the city accountable. So why are these guys using Hyundai Elantras and Kia Optimas? That seems to be a very common car stolen, not just in St. Louis. I'm sure this is a nationwide thing, but in St. Louis, there has been 350 Kia Optimas or Hyundai Elantras stolen just in the month of August in St. Louis City. 350 of the same type of car. And evidently, it's because there is some sort of flaw with the Kia Optima and the Hyundai Elantra that makes it super easy for bad guys to steal. But they've come up with a solution. Kia and Hyundai are offering security kits. If you own one of these pieces of garbage, you can go spend $170 for the kit and $300 to have the dealership install it to make your car harder to steal. The city of St. Louis is recommending that you put those stupid steering wheel locks on them if you own one. I would say, you know what? Just go get rid of it and get yourself a real car. Man, I'm glad to be on the radio today. I'm glad to be here today. If you listen to this show, you know why. I'm not going to get into that again. We're talking about Kia Optimas and Hyundai Elantras and why they are the number one most stolen vehicle in St. Louis. 77% of the cars stolen in St. Louis are one of those two cars. And that's just not St. Louis. Evidently, I've done a little research. According to the Business Insider, this trend dates back to 2020 during the pandemic shutdowns when a group of young black males in Milwaukee that called themselves the Kia Boys. Notice how I said that, Kia Boys. They made themselves famous in the criminal TikTok world by making TikToks and YouTube videos teaching people and challenging them to go steal these cars. And the reason they're able to do it is because these Kia Optimas built between 2011 and 2021, so a 10-year period, 2011 and 2021, and some Hyundai models built between 2016 and 2021, they actually they don't have a key fob. They have a traditional key, like the old school key that you stick in the steering column or the dashboard, and you turn the key to start the car. That makes it extremely easy to steal. There's no chip in the key as well. So my 1987 Chevy Corvette, when I was 16, had a chip in it. So the key couldn't be duplicated. But not the Kias, not the Hyundais. You buy these Asian piece of crap cars to save money, and this is what you get. The fact is, with these TikTok videos, they teach them that essentially, just like in the 90s with, a lot of older cars, they can break the steering column and turn this car on with a screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, and somehow a USB charger cord. Somehow they use a USB charger cord and a screwdriver and a broken steering column, and boom, they're off to the races. So my question is, now, the city of St. Louis, let's see here. The city of St. Louis is basically threatening the car manufacturers because they had three. I misreported in the other part of the show. I said there were 390 some odd cars stolen, I think, in August. That was just Hyundais. There were 269 Kias. So that's a total of, almost 700 Kias and Hyundais stolen in the month of August. In 30 days, 31 days. In St. Louis only. Imagine how big this is across the country. I mean, St. Louis is like the number 50 market in this country. That's the size of a city. I don't know if it's 20 or 50, but it's definitely down the list. We're a small place compared to other cities. Imagine how big this epidemic of Hyundai and Optima, or Hyundai and Kia car theft is nationwide. And the manufacturers are offering basically steering wheel locks and charging the owners $170 for them. It's insane. It's just insane. But that's what they're doing. Why are the police threatening the auto manufacturers rather than going after the thieves themselves. This is what you get when you defund the police, which we have definitely done in St. Louis. The St. Louis Police Department used to be one of the baddest PDs in the country. They broke skulls, they cracked knees, and they got it done. It's never been a safe place. Never been like New York. You know, Rudy Giuliani actually made New York safe for a while. St. Louis has never been safe. But the police department used to have the kahunas to get the job done, and now they don't. You know, if they're only stealing Kia Optimas and Hyundai Elantras, why don't we go get some Kia Optimas and Hyundai Elantras and leave them laying around the city? Oh, and maybe leave them laying around gun shops. Are you listening, ATF? ATF, can you hear me? If you put Kia Optima and Hyundai Elantra bait cars around gun shops, you may just be able to stop this theft ring. Because you know the MO is to steal a Kia Optima or a Hyundai Elantra near the gun shop. Every one of these cars have been stolen within a few blocks of the gun shop. So literally leave bait cars with teams sitting on them and tracker devices and sprinkle them around all the gun shops in St. Louis and just sit and wait. And you'll be just like you'll be like Robert De Niro and Al Pacino in the movie Heat. You'll catch them in the act. But no, that would require that you actually do police work. And police work isn't being done anymore. Not at the street level, because people are too afraid to do their job. You know, the cops are there to take the report. When seconds count, the police are only minutes away. I say this as an ex-cop. I have the tremendous respect for law enforcement. Tremendous. I'm a former cop myself. I would not say I'm a bootlicker. I think at one point in my life I might have been. But I don't have a lot of respect for modern law enforcement administration, because they allow the politics to cripple them and to cause the streets to become more violent and more dangerous for you and I. Now, you want to talk about keeping guns off the streets. You know, the Biden administration wants you to give up your legally owned guns, you know, to get the guns off the streets. Well, what they should be doing is trying to catch these thief rings. It can't be that hard. This same group of guys has hit 7 gun shops with the same MO. Oh, all in what, 6 weeks? You know, this sting, if you will, would cost some money. You'd have to pay a bunch of overtime. You'd have to put together a special task force to get it done. But I guarantee you, if nothing else, you're going to catch a bunch of car thieves. You know, whatever happened to bait cars? You know, is that illegal now? Is that like you can't do that because you're tempting the criminal to by parking a car on the street? You're tempting them. Is that somehow entrapment? I don't know. If you own a Kia Optima or a Hyundai Elantra, highly recommend you contact your dealership and see what kind of options you have to secure your vehicle, and or just get rid of it and don't drive it anywhere near St. Louis. All right, let's talk about world news, shall we? What's going on in the world? Well, unless you've been asleep for the last couple days, you might not know that we are under a direct threat of nuclear attack. Yeah, never. I don't. I've been on this planet since 1974, and I don't remember ever having that one before necessarily. I mean, you always had North Korea saying that they were going to do some stuff, right? But I mean, Russia straight up threatening. And you know what? We probably deserve it, right? We shouldn't be involved in the Ukraine. I know why we're there. It's a criminal money laundering scheme that involves the deep state and many of our beloved politicians that are invested heavily over there. You know, guys like the president's own son got some serious financial interests in the Ukraine. So I get it. You know, the whole Ukraine money laundering deal was set up by the Obama administration, who, by the way, is still in control. Remember, Obama is in his basement wearing a 3-stripe tracksuit with a headset just like this one, telling the crazy old man what to say. And because his hearing's not good, he doesn't always get it right. But so this Belarus or this Ukraine thing, where we've sent just bajillions of dollars, but we can't help our own Floridians, or the Puerto Ricans, from these hurricane disasters. We're going to send all this money over to the Ukraine and weapons. Like we're literally fighting a proxy war here. This is no different than Iran using Al Qaeda to attack us. We are using the Ukraine to fight Russia. It's obvious. It is a proxy war. And it's pretty obvious when we're sending them weapons. And so the Ukrainians are using weapons provided by the West to fight the Russians. And evidently those weapons are creating a lot of havoc for the Russians. So that's great for the Ukrainians, but it's not so good for the West because the Russians are pissed, right? And they are basically saying, hey, if you do any more military support, we're taking the gloves off, and tactical nukes are not off the table. They're on the table. All this with some reports of Nancy Pelosi just purchased 10,000 shares of, what was it called? It's a pharmaceutical company that happens to make iodine pills, which are key to fighting radiation sickness after a nuclear strike. Amgen, AMGEN. Their stock is down, by the way, and has been for a few months. But Amgen, Nancy Pelosi just bought 10,000 shares. That's a lot. I think their stock's worth like $250 right now. So 250 times 10,000. So she bought $2.5 million worth of Amgen in the last 30 days, according to some sources. Kind of scary, because she has financial interests in the Ukraine as well. And so what do they know? What do they know that we don't know? And what are the liberals thinking about this? They always said Trump was going to get us into World War III. Literally, today we sit on the brink of it. It's happening in front of our face. The Crimean Bridge attack, which some think we are involved in, and some are saying it's blowing back on us. Evidently, there's lots of people involved in the Crimean Bridge attack. But I don't really have details. I'm not a news reporter. All I know is that it's not good, right? When you blow up a $3.6 billion bridge, and then some D-bag from the Ukraine parliament sends a Twitter video to Putin on his birthday of Marilyn Monroe singing "Happy Birthday, Mr. President" as the bridge burns. And it was one of Putin's pet projects. This is how you start a nuclear war. Now, I was talking to Alex about it earlier. Here's the big fear. Russia knows that we're weak. Our military is weak. Our president is useless. The entire government administration right now is useless. We're worried about genders and we're worried about pronouns while they're worried about rebuilding the USSR. It used to be it wasn't even feasible that somebody would use a nuke. If you use a nuke, somebody else retaliates and then nukes go everywhere and the whole world dies, right? That's what we were taught. Well, now, basically what they're thinking is, with the West so weak, they could use a tactical nuke. Let's say they hit Kyiv with a tactical nuke. A tactical nuke might just take out 6 blocks, 10 blocks. It might take out, 20 blocks. But, people are going to die for years of radiation and fallout, and the whole area is going to be unlivable. But let's say it's a tactical nuke and it takes out the presidential palace and blah, 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 blah. Just to make a point. Do you think the world is going to exchange nuclear weapons over one tactical nuke going off in Kyiv? I don't think so. And I'd be willing to bet Putin doesn't either. I bet you he's planning on using a tactical nuke, and he's doing it as a bluff call. And where does that leave us? Where does that leave the rest of the world? I don't know. I think about it a lot, what this country would look like the day after some event like that. Now, not a day after an attack on our soil, which is possible. Now you're talking, you go ICBM, intercontinental ballistic missiles or whatever. Now you're talking about apocalyptic exchange. But a tactical nuke striking one place, is that going to cause the chain reaction? And like I said, I'm thinking that they're going to gamble on no. And I think they're gambling on, if they do that, nobody will mess with them anymore. You also have Belarus now mobilizing troops. Belarus looks like they're getting into this. The Belarusians are now mobilizing their armed forces to join forces with Russia near the Ukraine. We're seeing that happen in real time. So somehow Russia's got Belarus now involved. So this thing is escalating even further. And all in the meanwhile, you still have unrest in Iran. We're talking about that world news. I don't know if you've seen, but Iran is seeing protests and violent protests across the country in villages all over the country. And their police, they're not like our police. In Iran, they shut down the social media and they just start shooting people. According to one source, 185 men, women, and children have been killed by the Iranian government in these protests, where the Iranian government has been confirmed using live ammunition against its protesters. Can you imagine? What would that look like if the American government did that? We let people burn entire cities. We let people commit tons of crime. We don't, and these guys are shooting their own citizens, and the world just kind of looks and says, that's what they do. That's kind of their thing, kind of like their oppression of women that the world has just ignored for all this time, and this is where it's getting them. It's where it's getting them. So, are you prepared for the fall? Not the fall of America, although you could think that way. I'm talking about the fall like October, November, December of this year. Like right now, it's here, right? The leaves are falling off the trees. Duck season starts in less than 30 days. Deer season right after that. It's getting colder. It's time to break out the hoodies. And, it's time to start shooting some guns, using up some of that ammo you've been stockpiling for years, now that ammo prices have hit rock bottom. Speaking of gearing up for fall and ammo prices, we're actually having a sale at Tactical SH*T right now in St. Peter's and online at shop.tacticalSH.T.com. Just search it on Google. You'll find it. You don't have to type a cuss word if you don't want to. Just type Tactical SHT. You'll find us. We currently have a deal going on. It's kind of a Halloween spooky sale. Murder our inventory. It's an inventory clearance sale to get ready for fall. 10% off store-wide. I know that doesn't sound like a big discount, but when you're talking guns and ammo, 10% is huge. I think my markup on most ammo is like 13 to 16%. So we're not making any money. We're just helping lighten up the warehouse so that we can restock. Ammo prices, especially with that 10% discount, are at all-time lows. We've got 9mm right now at 25 cents per bang, per Freedom Seed, 25 cents. These are prices we haven't seen in years. And honestly, some of us thought they'd never come back. But thanks to capitalism and manufacturing surplus, we are back to very, very affordable times when it comes to stocking up on ammunition. But because you've lived through this, you've lived through the inflation of ammo. So ammo inflated. It was a leading indicator of inflation in this country, and now it has deflated. We are back to pre-inflation levels of ammo pricing. Guns as well. Gun pricing is coming down. There are surpluses of guns There are so many Smith & Wesson M&P Shields on the market. I guarantee you, for Black Friday, you're going to see Shields for like $199, $299. They're going to be like high point prices. But right now, if you come to our store, you can get 10% off night vision. We never do that. 10% off body armor, plate carriers, 10% off survival foods, 10% off flashlights, lasers, ammunition, AKs, ARs, Glocks, you name it, as well as some other great deals. Like we got buy 4, get 1 free 9mm boxes, $14.99 a box. So it's a great price, and you get buy 4, get 1 free. So that's 250 rounds of 9mm for like $59. And it's made in America using CCI primers. Good stuff. It's called Grind Hard. We're living in exciting times, being able to come through this inflationary period and actually get back to where people could afford to buy things. That shooting is, for a minute, it was becoming a rich man's sport, and I hated that. And it's finally coming back around. But when I say are you prepared for fall, it's not just about hunting, it's not just about recreational shooting, it's not just about putting on your hoodie, we got those too. But it's about the fall, meaning the election. The midterms are now less than 30 days away. And I have a feeling the midterms are going to be spicy. I really do think there's going to be drama. The Democrats seem to think they've got this thing tied up and that they're going to sweep it, that Republicans aren't going to get the House and they're not going to get the Senate. I think that is absolutely insane to think. However, they cheat. We know they cheat. They're going to cheat. And the only way that we can't take back the House or the Senate is if they cheat. The fact is, they're going to cheat. Are we going to let them? What does that mean? What as Republicans, if they steal it again, do we just post a bunch of spicy memes? Is that what we do? And we just accept it, to stick our heads in the sand? No. I'll tell you what, the most important race right now for Senate seats, and I'm not a big political guy, but the most important race, to my understanding, for the Senate seats is actually in Georgia. In Georgia, Herschel Walker, former NFL football player, is running as a Republican Senate candidate, and he has a really good chance of winning. Well, he had a really good chance of winning. The Democrats all over the country. Now, remember, this is a Georgia issue, right? This is a Georgia Senate seat. Yet, all of the big super PACs are sending money from all over the country for his Democratic opponent. His Democratic opponent has received over $300 million to try to protect that, because the Democrats know that Georgia could decide the Senate. And so they're throwing everything at Georgia to try to keep Herschel Walker out of the Senate. What can you do about that? You can donate to Herschel Walker's campaign. I don't know how to do that, but Google it and send that man some money, because the Democrats are throwing everything but the kitchen sink at him.